Welcome to the Big Tyme Journey. I thank you for joining me on this, our first journey. Today we will journey through the beautiful orchards of California as we discuss and talk about forgiveness. I welcome you to the beautiful almond orchards in California, located in the beautiful Central Valley. This is right after the shake. Have you ever heard that joke about almond and almonds? Well, they're almonds while they're on the tree, and they're almonds after they get the ale shaken out of them. Well, this is what's recently happened in this orchard. The almond has been separated from its shell and lays on the ground, ready for the next step in the process. But join me as we walk through these orchards and we discuss forgiveness, because I feel like we truly get ourselves stuck and tied to our past, that we are stuck in this revolving door where we can't escape. We seem stuck, trapped. We can't necessarily move forward. We can't get free, because we have this inability to free ourselves. Forgiveness is great when we are able to forgive others. We let go of whatever they may have done to us when they come to us and tell us they are sorry. Some may not be able to forgive. Some hold on to that and let it root deep inside themselves, their souls. They manifest this, they hold it, they plant it like a seed, ready to grow and grow. Others are able to forgive and let go. They may never forget, and those are two different things, forgiveness and forgetting. But I think the hardest issue we all seem to face is this forgiveness of self. This ability to let our own selves free from not living up to our standards. Whether these standards are self-implied or these are the standards we were brought up with. These standards that we have been passed on to, that we've set up to allow to become our standards. And sometimes we set standards that are far beyond some of the capabilities of our reach, our scope. And it's hard when we fail to live to these standards, and the deep regret and the harshness we put on ourselves because we're so unable to let ourselves be forgiven. Yes, we may go to those we've hurt, we've scarred, those that we've abandoned or emotionally left with a burden. We may go back and make rights for wrongs we have committed by asking for forgiveness. But are we truly forgiven until we have forgiven ourselves? Sometimes it's more about forgiveness for ourselves and others. We can forgive others, but we still have to let that go. Just as much as we have to forgive ourselves and let it go. It's never easy for us to come to terms with forgiveness. We are so self-indulged in ways that make it very difficult for us to not hold ourselves back. We hold ourselves to a higher accountability. So when we mess up something or we do something wrong, when we get off on the wrong path, when we're going in one direction and suddenly our choices, the elements of life, choices of others, the impact of whatever may be going on has changed our course. And we're suddenly drifting in a direction that we never saw coming. And we're lost in this puzzling maze of how did we get here and how do we get out? How do I make this right and how do I get back on track? And we race across in some other path trying to figure ways. And sometimes we get so tied in these different paths trying to figure out how to get back to the original path we were on, instead of looking at the path we're on and figuring out how we can make this path better. But we're so bent on this past, on this idea of we did this, or what can I do to right this, or why am I not where I should be, or why am I not as good as I should be? I know I'm better than I am where I am. I know I can be more. I know I can bring more to this world. I can offer more. And sometimes we get wrapped up in this idea that we're fighting to be more, and then when we don't achieve the standard, we fall. We become angry and bitter with ourselves, and we hold ourselves so accountable that we don't find it easy to forgive our own selves, to free ourselves from that burden of failure. See, the epic idea of a mistake only being an error that we refuse to correct is really the true thought. Because an error is only something that's simple and can be erased and changed and fixed. A mistake can be almost detrimental. So when we make an error, we just have to forgive. We have to say, oops, that's okay. We're flawed as humans, and we have to understand with that flaw, we have the ability to accept those flaws, fix those flaws, make those flaws better, make those flaws work for ourselves. But again, it's this idea of how do we forgive ourselves? How do we let our past become so overwhelming, so overbearing, so part of our soul, so part of our being that we can't free ourselves from? Now, this isn't about forgetting our past, because our past is our story. Our past is our tale. Our past is our scars that we wear that are not visible to others, but it is the journey that has gotten us to the now. But it's those of us that can't get on to the next step because we are stuck lugging the past, as the past is our captive, our prison. It is truly unfair how we burden ourselves with this past and find ourselves so unable to forgive ourselves when we haven't achieved the standards that we set for ourselves. It's not that we are bad. It's not that we are wrong. It is not that we are terrible people. We are all human. We are all meant to flaw and fail. Failure is only a step in a direction to what's next. With failure comes a lesson, and with a lesson becomes more experience, and with experience we become better, stronger, and wiser. And it's in these experiences and it is through forgiveness that we must find our way out, not find our way stuck. I mean, how many of you out there seem to be trapped, burdened by your past? Just feeling like it's the same thing over and over again. It's like that moment of insanity. They're just repeating the same thing over and over again, doing the same thing and expecting different results, but it never happens, it never changes, it never becomes better. You're just there in that moment, lost, stuck, because you can't find it in yourself to forgive yourself. We hold ourselves to such higher accountability, such higher levels than maybe we allow others. And so then when we begin to roll through life, through these journeys, and we let something slip us up, or we make a choice that we wish we would have never made, whether it was a bad relationship, or whether we hurt somebody in a relationship, whether we cheated, or whether we trusted somebody who did us wrong, whether we lied, whether we stole, whether we chose a path that got us down a road that led to a horrible place, a dark place that we thought we'd never go, sometimes we never thought we'd get out of. For some of us, we're still there. But the key is to understand that there is a light and there is a way and there is an out. It's not a forever trap. It's not a forever ending. It's not the way it has to be. It is the way that it was. But eventually, through work and effort and through forgiveness, you can achieve a way out. You can achieve another path. You can achieve a greater understanding and a peace in life. Now, I've never been great at this self-forgiveness. I hold on to my past. I've let my past dictate a lot of my life. I've experienced heartache, and I've caused heartbreak. I've hurt many people in my life, and it burdens me to a great depth that I've allowed these things to happen, that I've allowed these choices to come to pass because they were my choices. Now, granted, there was a lot of elements in my life. There was a lot of outside forces that had framed who I was or who I had become. And I had let those things be emotional burdens, mental burdens that made me very emotional and reactional to my emotions. Instead of embracing my emotions and accepting my emotions and understanding my emotions, I allowed my emotions to rule my life, and through my life, I let those emotions dictate where I'd go, how I'd get there. And I hurt a lot of people in life. And I've gone to a lot of these people over time and said, I'm sorry for these things that I've done. And I carry shame with it, and it hurts. And I find myself at times reminiscing of these things. But I have to remember, I have to forgive myself, saying, you know what, that was who I was, not who I will be, and not who I am to become. For I am better than that. Now, it's not an easy process. It's not an overnight thing. It's not just like you're going to snap your fingers and wah-la-la, wah-la-la, wah-la-la-la. I was going somewhere with that. I can't promise you where, but stay with me. But no, it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to change in just a moment. It's not going to be an easy success. It's going to take time. It's going to take effort. It's going to take repeats. It's going to take moments where you think you've got it and you're going to fall back. But you got to remember to forgive yourselves, to free yourself from that burden. Don't get held in the past because you can't forgive yourself. Don't become entangled in the web. That is our past that will hold us there, that will imprison us, that will cause such mental and emotional damage, such mental and emotional anguish, that we become lost in this feeling of loneliness, that we feel like we're on an island, isolated from the rest of the world, where nobody can understand us, nobody can even come close to knowing how we feel, because we are so trapped in these moments, in these places. But we have to understand, through forgiveness, it's one of the first steps in the process of healing ourselves. Now, if you've wronged people in your life, I recommend you go to them. Go to them all. And it's not about whether they deserve or don't deserve it. It's about what you deserve. And you deserve the right to go to these people and make amends, to offer the apologies and say, I am truly sorry. Now, some people may not forgive you, and they may say, yeah, They may not acknowledge your request and tell you that they don't forgive you. And sometimes it's because we've committed many sins, or many crimes, or many fails, or many whatever it is that we burden this person with, and they just don't have any trust or faith in us. But that's okay, because you made the attempt. And the forgiveness is not always about the other person. It's great if you can make that connection and find that peace. Forgiveness is for ourselves. So in that, we still have to be able to forgive ourselves, even if somebody else won't forgive us. And in time, if you truly are remorseful and truly forgive yourself and work on the healing process, those people who may have denied your forgiveness in the beginning will see the change, and maybe will come around. Will maybe find a way to accept your forgiveness, to find peace. I'm not saying you can go out and fix every relationship and make it like it was, or make it great again. You may not even be able to fix those or repair those relationships in any form. But if you make the attempt for the forgiveness and then forgive yourself and let it go, you'll be stepping in the right direction. Now, granted, again, we have to separate forgiveness from forgetting. We forgive and let go. We let go of the emotional burden. We let go of the feelings attached to that. We let go of that hold that it has on us. But we don't necessarily need to forget. There's things that we can forgive and forget. Totally. Sometimes you just got to let it all go and just say, you know what, it's not even worth anything. But sometimes we have to remember, so we have that story, so we don't repeat those actions, we don't repeat those behaviors. Or when we come face to a situation that we've been to before, we remembered when we had the option, when we had the choice, when this path split and we stood there in that moment. Last time we may have chose left and it didn't work out. So this time we know that maybe the right is the better path. So that's why sometimes it's not about forgetting, but it's absolutely about forgiveness. And yes, the two can be tied together, but they also can be very separate. Because people will forgive you, but they may never forget what you've done. And they may hold you to that standard every time. And that's a burden you have to carry, accept, and try to overcome. Sometimes you will, and sometimes you won't, and you have to accept that and forgive yourself that that may not be able to be achieved. Because somebody else has a higher standard, and you're not capable of meeting that standard no matter what you may do. You can't become burdened. You have to let it go and understand, as long as you're doing the best you, as long as you're fighting to get better, as long as you're fighting to move forward and you're taking the steps and not repeating the past, as long as you're not causing pain or hurt or scars, as long as you're not filled with mental anguish or emotional damage that's causing you to be held back or imprisoned, to be okay. Forgiveness is not easy. Forgiveness don't happen overnight. But working on forgiveness, that's what the journey for today is. And thank you for joining me on the Big Tyme Journey. I hope something in what I said today will help you. Will maybe open your mind or your heart. Maybe a whole new understanding. This is just my first video in this journey. I hope that it will grow. And I hope that you will like. I hope you will subscribe. And I hope you will join me on more journeys. And when I add new, all you have to do is hit that bell for notifications, and it'll let you know when I post a new video. I want this series, this world, this journey to be a journey of places. I want it to be an emotional journey. I want it to be a mental journey. I want it to be about healing. I want it to be about peace. I want it to be about sharing my story and trying to help others, no matter what your path in life is. And this is a space free of judgment. We're not here to judge or condemn anybody, because this is wrong. We don't need to judge and condemn one another. We're done, and beyond that, we're just causing more hurt. So let's not judge. Let's not condemn. Let's talk. Let's have that conversation. Let's heal. Let's fix ourselves. Help others fix themselves. Let's find love and peace in love and happiness in it all. This is the Big Tyme Journey. Please join me next time on the journey through life.